Yes, I am bringing sexy back. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, everyone. It's episode 40 of the fucking ridiculous podcast. I know, that's 10 times 4. That's a lot. That's 40 weeks, although I skipped a week, so it's really 41 weeks that I've been doing this. And I would like to say that I've gotten a bit better, but last week we didn't catch up on a lot of stuff. So today I'm just gonna bang through my list of stuff and updates because I do hope to have some guests over the next several weeks, and then you won't be hearing as much from me. So maybe some of you are sad, maybe some of you are like, thank God. Big shout out. My dad, Big J, is going to turn 80 years old on Tuesday, April 18th. And I would like to say, happy birthday, Dad. I love you. And there is no one that I would rather have as my dad. You've been the best ever. And I just wish I could put you in my pocket and take you everywhere. I love you. Another birthday. Hey, Steph. I think it's your big one coming up. Of course, you still look like you're 22, just like your daughter. Happy birthday. And number 3, big old freaking shout out to the Boston Bruins. They have made NHL history with the most points scored in the NHL open season, like not playoffs or anything combined. So that's super amazing. Way to go, Boston Bruins. They are, as the boys in the hockey world like to call it, a fucking wagon, and that they are. What I'm loving. So today, what I'm loving is this bag. Now, this bag is made from waterproof Italian paper. It's washable, and allegedly it's gonna hold as much crap as I can put in it. And it's got this cool handy dandy zipper pocket right here so I can put my phone in my wallet so that I'm not digging around like a bag lady. It is from the brand, I'm going to read this, UASH Mama. UASH Mama? I don't know. I'm probably saying that wrong. But for those of you who live in RIC, you can get this at the Love of All store. And more about that store and its owner and the products that they sell will come in another episode. But anyway, that's what I'm loving this week. And it will now serve as my multi-purpose bag, purse, catch-all for everything. And I'm aware it could look like a diaper bag, but it's not. I'm looking at my nose right now, and it's clear that I, too, am impacted by the allergies that we are suffering from here in Richmond. And I am so sorry for everybody else who's dealing with them because, damn, it's real, real bad. The quote of the week is, take yourself out of it. And take yourself out of it is kind of a hybrid quote from a conversation that I had with a friend of mine. That's actually the best advice I could give myself right now. Because if it doesn't directly involve me, then why am I even in it, you know? If someone asks for my help, great. If they want my advice, great. But otherwise, why am I in it? So I just figured, you know what? I'm just going to take myself out of all of these situations that are stressing me unless they directly involve me and my well-being. And so that's been actually a really, really great practice because the frustration was as the result of a very last-minute college visit trip. And I very badly wanted to go. And I realized that, why did I want to go? Did I want to go because I wanted that quality time? Or did I want to go because I just wanted to see that college? And while I did want the quality time, I also felt like the quality time could be better spent with maybe my husband and my son together. And then I can just go and visit that college on my own. I mean, right? So take myself out of it, and everything went just fine. It was just fine, as we always say. In the news, my girl Taylor, she is currently out on the tour. Everything I'm hearing is that she is nonstop for 3 hours. I am so bummed out that I did not get tickets. I wasn't able to. So if anyone has tickets and they cannot go, anyone has tickets and they want me to go with them, let me know because I am on the hunt for tickets and I will travel to see her. 100% will travel to see her. She is also newly single, so that's huge as well. I think she was dating this guy for like 6 years and now she's single. So boys, girls, get back out there. People are starting to look at their finances and think to themselves, maybe I'm overspending here. Is this excessive? And so streaming services are starting to get the axe. So I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to look at all my streaming services and what we pay for and see where I can really make some changes, if any. We cut the cord from cable several years ago, but it is easy to start, subscribing, and then all of a sudden you're like at $250, which was essentially what you were paying for cable. That's happening. So I would think that there's some room for negotiation within the streaming services. So if you have the time and the patience and maybe just like to do that kind of stuff for sport, get after it. AI. Okay, this is beyond frightening to me. There is a program called Pass GAN. This program was given 15 million passwords. It cracked 51% in a second. So that is like 7.5 million passwords that this AI program was able to do like when I blinked my eye. That to me is insane. By the end of the month, they had gone through and cracked 81%. So, frankly, it really doesn't matter about passwords anymore. Now, I'm thinking that maybe those were basic ones like 1, 2, 3, 4, which if that was your password, I did not mean to yell it out to everybody. That is not mine. But passwords are a real source of a headache, I know, for a lot of people. So I guess either enable the face stuff or dig a little deeper and come up with, some kind of very long, complicated password that would take, maybe a month and a half to crack versus a second or a month. It's scary. There is another program via AI that when you are in an MRI machine, if you are shown some images prior to going into the MRI machine, and then this can literally replicate what you saw in your mind. So like it's translating your brain activity. And if this isn't that much closer to Minority Report, I don't know what is. So I started thinking this is an area where, how everyone's like, we always have too many lawyers, like, blah, 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 the jokes about lawyers. This is the new specialty for law. It's called Prevention of and Protection After Mindfuckery and Mindfucking. We're right on the forefront of that. So if you're thinking about going to law school, I say make your own major and subspecialty and get after it. 70% of parents say they are sacrificing their financial wellness in some way, whether it's dipping into savings, retirement, double mortgage, equity lines, but they are sacrificing their financial freedom for the support of their grown children. So that's like the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, the 40-somethings, the 50-somethings that are living with their parents, or the grandparents are raising their grown children's kids. I'm just floored by that number because 70, that's a lot. And I just wonder, when is enough? Because I'm in the camp right now where I have 2 18-year-olds and a 16-year-old. So while my time card is still in the machine, I'm kind of looking forward to trying to clock out and see what that's like and enjoy some time just, child-free for a little bit. And it breaks my heart to know that people are making the sacrifice for whatever reason that they are doing that. And I hope that it is because they want to and not because they feel like they have to. They're guilted into it. Society makes it seem like they should. If you are able-minded and able-bodied, should be able to sustain their own living, maybe not to the standard that they would like, but that's kind of how we start out, right? I don't know. It's just, that to me is really, really fucking ridiculous. And I'm sure I'll have a lot of haters because of that. But in other fucking ridiculous, deceptive news, the brand Nature's Bounty, which you see in like all the drugstores and I guess on Amazon as well, it's like vitamins and supplements and stuff. They are now, they're in the middle of a lawsuit because they are being charged with having deceptive reviews on Amazon to like pump it up to make it seem like it's a much better product than it actually is. So put Nature's Bounty on your boycott list if you so desire, fuckers. We had the Louisville shooting this week, and I don't mean to talk about the shootings all the time. I feel so conflicted because you talk about it because you want to bring light to awareness of the frequency of these mass shootings. But then on the flip side, you don't want the perpetrator to gain notoriety, and you don't want copycats, and you don't want people to think that this is normal in any way, shape, or form, because it is not normal to take another person's life. It's just not. After reading some stuff about this story, the biggest, most jarring piece of information that I got, sorry, I was looking at a yellow bird, the most jarring information that I read was, since 1998, I believe, Kentucky, the state of Kentucky, has a law where weapons that have been involved in crimes, once the police investigation is closed, those weapons are then sold at auction back to the public. A weapon that was used to kill someone, confiscated, and now is being sold back to the public to potentially kill another person. And I started wondering, like, how many states have this law? And the law is looser in certain states where they don't necessarily force you to resell them. But a lot of states do, and they highly encourage it. It's all about money. It's about revenue, of generating more revenue for the police force, for the state, wherever that money goes. I find that to be mind-blowing. I find that to be very disturbing, and I find that to be just fucked up. That is also on the list of fucking ridiculous things that I am reading about this week in the news. I guess it all comes down to all money and 0 cents. And by cents, I don't mean like a penny. I mean like S-E-N-S-E, cents. Nonsense. Oh, goodness. We've got to wrap it up. Got to wrap it up. The 2020-2021 CDC found that 2.5 million STIs, which I think they used to be called STDs, but now they're STIs, which that's probably better, disease versus infection. That's a lot of fucking. And that's a lot of fucking unprotected. And so they are attributing that to COVID, lack of sex ed and education, and people really understanding or really giving a fuck. Well, they are giving fucks. They're just not giving the thought to the condom for the fuck. If you have an appendage that could be wrapped up with a little thing that would catch the jizz, do it. Go ahead and do it, and remind others to do it, because it's important, not just from an STI, but, you know, it only takes one time. In other fucking ridiculous news, yesterday, I put out a little funny post from last week's podcast with Fatty. And Instagram asks me, do you want to boost the post? And I'm like, well, sure. I don't know what that is, so I'll try. And then I remembered, oh, yes, I've tried to boost a post before, which is basically like you pay a little bit of money and then it goes out to more people and you might get more followers and more listeners, which I was like, oh, okay, you know, that's worth it to me. So as I go through the steps to do this, I get an alert that says, nope, I have been banned from advertising. So my podcast cannot advertise on Instagram or the Facebook because I've been banned. I think I've been banned because my podcast has the word fucking in it. And I know this because there was an article about these maybe like 10 moms. And they decided to meet with this representative or delegate out in Washington State. And they said, we want to meet with the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee about the fact that their children, they had either lost children or their children had been struggling as a result of some of these things going on social. One of them is the blackout challenge, where you would choke yourself until you black out. One of them was called the Benadryl challenge, which was like you take enough Benadryl so that you actually feel super high instead of like super sleepy. I can't imagine that ever works, but apparently that was a challenge. And then there was the dry scooping challenge. And dry scooping, which I'm not loving that name, but it's like where you take protein powder and you don't mix it with water or anything, and you just like dump it into your mouth like you would like a Fun Dip or a Pixie Stick. And apparently that's got a lot of ingredients in it that can cause heart palpitations, neurological, etc. stuff. And so people end up in the hospital because of that. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, these are things that are on social that people are doing, watching and doing, and then sharing and spreading to their friends. And that's okay. But I can't boost a simple little clip about using a dongle because of the word F-U-C-K. That right there, I think, is the definition of fucking ridiculous. What the hell? I mean, and because you can't get a live person on the phone, you can't figure out, because it's like, hey, do you want this to be reviewed? Absolutely, I do. And then it just sits there and turns and spins. I don't ever get anyone. I don't even get a bot. So, you know what? Maybe it's good. You guys are like, good. Don't advertise. Don't even. And finally, I try not to give this person much light in the on the pod because I think he is not awesome. But Sir Twats a lot. He is continuing his dream of global app internet domination. And so now what he's doing is he's merged a couple of other companies, and Twatter just merged with, some other company, X something. He already absorbed PayPal. And he's basically saying, I am going to create an everything app. So like the Walmart of apps, and it will just be under the X brand. And so that would mean that basically Dr. Evil, Sir Twatsalat, would have access to almost all of your information for anything and everything that you might want to purchase. Or apparently even think about if we go back to the AI stuff. So that to me says, no thank you, no thank you, and no thank you. So even though the pod has a handle on Twitter, and even though I don't do anything with it because I just don't even understand what's going on there. I'm certainly not going to pay money for a blue check because whatever, and who really cares? But I did figure this out. You've got Dr. Evil, from like Austin Powers. The word Elon, if you rearrange the letters, it's L-O-N-E, loan, like alone. Like that's probably what this man is going to be and feels like. And I think that's why he constantly has to put himself in the news, because he's lone. You can call him a lone survivor, a lone wolf, or you can just call him a lone dickhead. That's what I'm going to go with, I think. But anyway. So that's some stuff going on in the news. Oh, shit. But the best part ever is that NHL playoffs start next week, y'all. And I know you're like, Nicole and her fucking hockey. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't watched anything, you must start tuning in to ESPN, ESPN Plus, TNT. They have the best, TNT in particular, because I've got some favorites that broadcast off of there. But these games are going to be amazing. Amazing. The competition is fierce. The guys are all in. I mean, intense. Just, it's the best way to escape. I can't even say enough about why I love hockey, but the playoffs are about to start. So if you live somewhere and you got a team, start following them. If you live somewhere and you don't have a team, start following the closest one. If you live somewhere, you don't have a team, you don't really have one close, just like Google awesome hockey players 2023, pick one of them and follow their team. Okay? It's so much fun. And that's it. So last week I wasn't able to update you much on what's going on in our family, but we are in the process of mourning. Tina, the Tucson, that's a car, is no longer with us. Tina rode her last ride last Wednesday when she stalled out in the middle of the intersection of a road and blocked all of the traffic from the school when they were dismissing, much to both of my sons' embarrassment, shame, and chagrin. I had Tina towed. She's somewhere right now because we just decided it was not worth it to keep pumping money into Tina. So she may ride in another family's world, but for us, she is gone. And this leads me to why I believe no new driver should have any sort of a nice recent car. And here is why. And of course I have 3 reasons, but I think I have a 1A and a 2A. Number 1, all kids get excited. Well, most kids get excited when somebody else gets their license, right? Because now you don't have to ride with your parents and now you can go places and this is super awesome. Well, let me tell you, they want to ride in the nicest car available. They want to ride in the one that has the heated seats and the air conditioning and the windows that open. I get that. I get it. But that invites more people riding in the one very nice car, which then in turn increases the probability of trash, vomit, smoke, and spills to have to be cleaned up. And if not cleaned up properly or in a timely fashion, that deteriorates said nice car. If you are wondering like, ooh, my kid's actually not going to be that way. Like he's super tidy. She's so OCD. Okay, take a look at your child's bathroom or the bathroom that your child uses. And if it is clean, the disqualifier here is that you have cleaned it, someone else has cleaned it for them. But if they're responsible for their bathroom, and I want you to walk in there and I want you to take a look. And if there are toothpaste schmutzes everywhere and the trash can's overflowing and there's like a ring or God forbid even like some dark, schmutz in the toilet, chances are that car will not be as well cared for as you think. Just saying, okay? 1A of 1 is since everyone wants to ride in the nicest car, that's going to mean more mileage on that car, more money for gas, etc. So you see where I'm going with this. So that's number 1. Number 2, a nice shiny car at 16 or 17 is the equivalent, in my opinion, of an extravagant promposal, i.e. the poster and the skywriting and the hot air balloons, or however people are now just asking people to go to prom with them. I applaud anything that is done in person. However, it just makes me feel like if that's what we're doing for high school prom, what happens when you actually want to possibly get married or move in with someone? I mean, where does that leave you? Where do you go? We set the expectations low and then go up from there. That's a trick from the 80s parents, and I think it actually was brilliant. Brilliant, and I want to bring that back, okay? Setting expectations lower. Your gift of the car is enough. If they're lucky to even have their own car, the type of car that your child drives as a new driver is not indicative of how nice you are as a parent or how cool you are or how amazing you are. I promise you, it's not. So, junker, clunker, don't rule them out. Number 3, unless your child is extremely OCD, i.e. very fearful, is gonna want to be away from as many cars as possible because they are nervous. Or they're medicated to not have any feelings come out of them. So they're just like this all the time. That car is gonna be involved in some kind of a situation where it has some scratches, some dents, some, maybe sometimes if your child's super frustrated and angry, it might even result in one of the car handles just coming off in their hands because they're so angry, of course, at their idiot mom, that they just pull that handle off. They're so angry. That stuff happens in real life. It does. And so, the older car, it doesn't feel like that much of a as it does if it's a newer car. Also, 3A would be the odds of an older car breaking down at some point are a wee bit higher. And while I don't wish that on anyone, you do now get the benefit of assessing problem-solving skills. when that car breaks down, what do they do? What do they do? Do they know what to do, or are you their first call? This is important stuff because eventually they're going to need to figure this stuff out. So Tina's down for good. The boys will get Taylor. I will get something. I don't know what it'll be, but it won't be brand spanking new. I know that because I know myself. In other news, we were hosting the streets egg hunt. The neighbors were like, oh, your yard will be great. So we were like, okay, great. And my daughter was able to help out and perfect. Well, Frances never really goes for certain things. So we didn't think it would be a problem. But anyway, she wound up getting one of the eggs, the plastic eggs, eating through the plastic. And there were Hershey Kisses in there. And everyone says, chocolate's bad for dogs. Well, allow me to say, chocolate is poison for dogs. And I know this because at 3 a.m. on Easter morning, my husband and I woke up to find that our dog was literally going out of her mind, breathing hard, panting, chasing herself in circles, couldn't get right at all. And as we started looking around the house, we had diarrhea and puke in every room, downstairs and in our room. And my husband was just beside himself, couldn't go back to sleep. He was just so grossed out and so upset by it. That's not my first rodeo with this kind of stuff. So I was just okay, I was feeling bad for the dog. We have to leave her out, whatever. So then I'm well, I wonder what she got into, whatever. Well, then I start doing the investigating on the chocolate. And I'm Mother of God, this stuff is poison. While I'm doing this investigative reporting, I am going to tell you that there are 10 flowers that are poisonous to cats and dogs. Now, it just so happens that my favorite flowers are all of these flowers, and I had just purchased them over the weekend as well. So, could have been the chocolate, could have been my fun Easter flowers, because I was ooh, I'll brighten the house, I'll be great, Susie Homemaker, whatever. No, so dumb. I'm going to read them to you. So, lilies, one of my absolute favorite flowers. They are poisonous. Daffodils, those are mostly found outside. But I guess dogs know to go stay away from them. I didn't know that. Tulips, that'd probably be my third favorite flower. And have them wilting right now. All the petals are on the ground. I don't know if the dead petals are still poison. I don't know if they have to be alive. Just to letting you know as a PSA. Hyacinth, a beautiful blue. Don't really have them because can't keep them alive for shit. So anyway, azaleas. What home or green area in the South doesn't have azaleas? You won't be able to find one. You won't. So that's fascinating to me. Again, maybe they put off the no dogs are loud vibe to eat, but that's true. Irises, I think that's my friend Sutter's favorite flower, and that is poisonous. Mums. Amaryllis. My personal favorite, hydrangea, which is very, very upsetting. And then something called gladiolus, which to me, that sounds more like a sexual act, but I think it's a flower. So anyway, those are the 10 flowers that are poisonous for pets. And I'm telling you all of this because you can rent a steam cleaner and all of the stuff that goes with it. But we have so many area rugs that I was I don't trust myself doing this. I just don't. So it is going to cost about $375. Still less than the tux that we didn't rent to steam clean our carpets in our house. Now, all of that to say, we've lived here for a long time, and I don't know if we've ever had the carpet steam cleaned. So maybe, everything happens for a reason. It was not a good scene nor a good smell in this household on Easter morning. And that only added to the just utter sheer disappointment that the Easter bunny did not come to my daughter. She's 18. We done. We are done. And that is just one more reason why we should not have Easter baskets with lots of chocolate in them after the age of 13, 10. Okay, 7. Give them a bathing suit. Not so deep thoughts. I was doing some math this morning, and I was thinking to myself, if every single subscriber, follower, listener of mine, of this podcast, got one person to be a subscriber, a follower, a listener, then my numbers would double. Like, that would be like that plus that is that. And it would be like 2 times that amount. I know. Mathematician in the works here. More listeners, though, equals more exposure. And then more exposure equals happier Nicole. And then happier Nicole equals potential for everyone else to be much happier when they're around Nicole. So I just wanted to share that and say I so appreciate you listening and tuning in each week. And if you find this at all even mildly entertaining, please share and say, hey, just subscribe, join, listen, click that button, whatever. And it would really help me out. I would really, really, really appreciate it. And if you want, I'll give you a shout out. So you can even DM me and be like, hey, that's my friend, so-and-so, I sent it to them. Or the friend can be like, hey, I got your contact from such and such, and I'll do that too. Number 2, I have a new website coming in about 2 weeks. So I'm very excited. There will be ways for us to connect. There will be ways for you to search the episodes, and you will get to learn a little bit more about me. And I'm super pumped. In that, along those same lines, I am also having a logo, and we'll eventually have some merch created. So if you really, really want to support me and this fun endeavor of mine, you could wear some merch, i.e., it'll probably be a visor, big shock there, a hat, a sticker for your computer, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I'm not asking to wear a big, like juicy brand or anything, and certainly not on your fanny. Number 3, there is a thing called green dating, where you are out with someone, and if they do not seem as climate friendly, environmentally friendly, green conscious as you, that's a red flag. That's a red flag, and they're gonna cut you loose. So rinse, reduce, and recycle. Always ask about recycling. Always bring your own bags if you are taking your date to the grocery store. I mean, these are just fun tips to keep you in the game. Now, this is gonna be a little news segment of mine, and it is called "What the fuck is this?" I love how everything new, everything old is new. It's not a bell-bottom pant, it's a bootleg pant or a wide leg pant. It's not a mom jean, it's a high-waisted pant. Obviously, I'm going with the, it's not your roots are grown out and you don't have enough money to get them done, it's ombre. Everything has the spin doctor to make something else sound a ton better and different than what it used to be. So there is something called mirror dating. And mirror dating, also known as cost of loving, is where it's basically a group date or a double date. And it's done in a fashion where it's like lower stress. You don't have to just be with that one person. You can assess how that person is in like a group dynamic and a social setting that's super informal. This also has the added bonus of you're splitting the cost with others. So it's like an economically friendly type of date. So if you needed to know what mirror dating is, you hear that, that's what that is. It's like group dating, low budget dating. And I agree, like you don't need a big date, expensive date for anything. You just, it's group dating. Ambient gaslighting. Okay, so there's gaslighting. And then there are levels of gaslighting, apparently. And then there's something called ambient gaslighting, which essentially is mild gaslighting. But that is with a much fancier name. So if someone tells you that you are an ambient gaslighter, or you have just ambiently gaslit them, that just means you've mildly tried to manipulate them into thinking that they were crazy, or that they weren't at fault, or they were at fault. Sometimes I get confused on gaslighting and already, so then when they put more adjectives in there, now it's even worse, but that's what that is. All right, so next week, I am going to have myself on for a little bit, and then I'm gonna have an excerpt of an interview with a friend of mine who is amazingly talented and also is putting her talent toward a great cause. I am so excited for y'all to hear more about this. Next week, look forward to that. And in the meantime, just remember, it's going to be fine. And if it's not, it'll be fine the next day. It really will. It will all work itself out. And remember, there are too many things that fall into the fucking ridiculous category bucket. So just have that bucket right over here and just put that shit in there. Walk away. Walk away from that.